Okay, this is the portion where we put the sleeve on. It is quite complicated to try to explain it, but anything's got to be better than the directions that they give you. It's very hard to understand. Okay, so I have turned this upside down so the inside of the shirt, the wrong side of the fabric, is laying facing up towards me. Now, this is the collar right here, and this is your armhole, just so you have an idea of the way it's setting up in case it's hard to see. Now, with the French seams, this is going to be very strange to do. It's taken me many mistakes, but this is the way it goes. So first I have taken my sleeve and I've folded it in half and I ironed it so that I can get a nice crisp edge here and I can tell where my middle is. Now, if you notice on your pattern, there are little circles and little triangle clips. Those are used to make sure everything lines up perfectly. The circles line up with the circles, the clips line up with the clips. For example, you might have 2 clips here on this side of the sleeve and only 1 over here. And then 2 here on the inside of your sleeve, 1 over here. This tells you which way the sleeve is attached so that you match up the clips to the clips. That's very important when you're doing fitted things. I find it to be a very huge pain, and I don't do it that way. However, I don't make myself nice fitted shirts. I buy them because I'm not going through all that. But when you're doing child's pajamas, I find that it doesn't really matter. If you are a perfectionist and feel the need to do it, fine. Works for me. But I do not. So my easy way is I just disregard all the clips and the circles, and I just fold it in half and make a crease. And I line up my fold in the middle of my fabric here with the inside of the seam. And I pin it. Now I go over here and I kind of work my fabric around so that I can line up the corner and the edges. I'm going to make 1 pin here. See this? Okay. And I'm going to do the same thing on this side. And this whole time you're probably thinking, am I doing this right? It seems crazy, but trust me, it'll all work out in the end. So now, all I've used is 3 pins, 1 in the middle, 2 on the ends. And I'm going to take this all over to my machine and show you how I make it easy to sew it up. Okay. Bear with me, this is my first video. Ooh. And trying to get this done in a timely fashion. Okay, now I like to start in the middle because it ensures that when I get to the other end I won't have a gob of fabric left that was supposed to go in, because I know that the middles match up and the ends match up. So if I start in the middle and work my way to the end and then go back into the other side. Okay, so I've got my needle set down in the middle of the fabric here where my pin is. I'm going to straighten this out. You have so much more of the sleeve fabric than you have of the shirt fabric, if that makes any sense. So you're going to have to fold it over a little bit and make it work. This is why people use the circles and the clips to line it up and help them to ease the fabric in, but I don't. I find this takes a lot less time for me and it accomplishes the same effect. So I'm just going to start stitching, slow my speed down a little bit. I'm going to stop and I'm going to fold a little bit more over, lining the 2 ends up together. Just feeding it in slowly. Clip my ends so I don't have to do that later. Now I'll show you what I've done here. Okay. This is the sleeve. I'll here on top, and I've stitched it to the shirt where the sleeve goes, and I've made these little tucks here and just fit it. That way, you know, we start at the center, we don't have any extra at the end on both sides. It meets up nicely because of these tucks I've placed here. So now I'm going to go over to the other side and begin at the end and work my way up to the middle, doing the same thing with the tucks. Just straightening out the bottom of the fabric. Okay. I made my first tuck there. For me, it doesn't really matter where you put the tucks. You might want to evenly space them. You might want to put them all up to the top. Like I said, these things are important to get them evenly spaced, and use the dots and all these things when you're making things that are supposed to hang a certain way, like a tailored shirt, for example. When you're making kids' pajamas, it really doesn't matter. And once you get that seam enclosed in your French seam, you're not going to really see the tucks at all. Okay. Now, here is the sleeve. Now, this is where you start to see it all come together. Flip this sleeve so that you're looking at the shirt and the sleeve on the wrong side of the fabric. You've got a nice seam here. And you find the seam and you work the fabric up around it so that you can iron it. Now you're going to want to iron all around where the seam is. I'm going to go do that, and I'll be back to show you the rest of it.